Hi friends, how are we? Today I'm back after my week away, and we're continuing the series I started of reviewing your homes, giving my subscribers design advice to make their homes a bit better. In my first video that I did on this, I prepped for 4 different home reviews, but I ended up saying so much that I only did 2 of them, and I felt very rushed because I felt like I was talking a lot, and I don't want my videos to be like hours and hours long. So today I'm gonna play with the format a bit, and I'm only gonna talk about one home, one space. We're gonna do a deep dive into one of your homes, and let's see how it goes. Also, I'm filming this on Wednesday, and I'm supposed to post it on Friday, so I don't want like so much content to edit. I hope this isn't like too long of a video. And again, I've received so many submissions and so many good and interesting spaces that I have a lot to say about, but I unfortunately can't talk about all of them, and I just need to work through them slowly. So again, this will be an ongoing series. So if you'd like the chance of me talking about your home, you're more than welcome to submit it to my email. Okay, so the home that I chose to speak about today is an apartment in Ljubljana, Slovenia. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, by the way. I'm sure I'm not, but I've actually been to Ljubljana. When I was in high school, I went on this like Jewish youth tour of Italy and Slovenia, and we spent a little time in Ljubljana. And I remember thinking that it's a really beautiful city. Anyway, the girl who sent me this said that she just moved in with her boyfriend into this really nice apartment. And until now, she had been living in like very vintage roommate apartments that had a lot of character. And this is her first time living in like a very clean, almost sterile kind of renovated apartment like this. So I guess she's kind of struggling with how to design around that. She didn't make it totally clear if they own this apartment or they're renting, or if this is their furniture or not. I didn't totally understand. To me, the design and styling of this apartment very much reads as like an Airbnb or short-term rental. So maybe they like got it furnished. I'm not totally sure, but she did say that the current style of the apartment is not her at all, and that she has the freedom to do whatever she wants with it. So that's really exciting and really fun. The only like specific changes she said she's planning to do are to paint these sort of purplish walls back to white, and to get rid of this small shelving unit in this nook that doesn't totally fill up the nook. And she said that she wants to bring in a lot of warmer wood furniture. And I have to say, I really agree with all of those moves, but I also have a lot more to add. So let's dive in and talk about it. First of all, she says that this apartment feels very cold to her, but I have to say, compared to a lot of other apartments I've seen and spaces that my other clients are working with, it's really not as bad as it could be. I've seen some much colder, much more sterile spaces. Like the floors, for example, they seem to be real hardwood, which is nice. I personally, if I were renovating this apartment, probably wouldn't choose that herringbone pattern or this wood tone, but I think it's pretty fine. It's like a pretty blank canvas to work with. And the very light neutral wood tone is kind of nice in a way because it's not dictating the color of wood furniture that you can bring in to this space. It's really neutral and can lend itself to a lot of different spectrums of wood tones. There's also like this very cool furnace situation. I think it's like a vintage furnace or heater of some kind. I don't know if they actually use this or if it's vintage or contemporary. Like my gut says that this is a vintage building that they renovated and they decided to leave the furnace. Maybe they actually use it in the winter to heat their space. I don't know. But either way, I think it's very cool. I think it's a really nice feature, and it's doing a good job of bringing like a certain level of uniqueness and character to this apartment. So I think it's pretty nice. In general, this apartment could be much, much worse as far as cold apartments go. I think it's a really good canvas to work with. And it's definitely possible to make this very cozy and very nice feeling. That being said, the current interior styling is not doing anything to warm up the space. So again, I don't know if these are her pieces or not, but I'm not gonna hold back with critiquing them because a few things here are just really, really not working for me. Number one, that coffee table with the fake marble print on it just absolutely needs to be sold or given away or donated and be replaced with a authentic material coffee table. I would probably bring in like a warmer wood tone table there, a table made from real wood, or at least a wood veneer, something that's kind of a darker mid-tone piece. In general, all of the architectural like hard finishes in this apartment are very light and bright, and all of the furniture that they've brought in is very dark. Like this whole living room is basically just black and white with the exception of that tiled vintage furnace thing. And I think having such high contrast throughout the whole space is bringing a very harsh energy, and it's honestly just kind of hard to look at. So for the furniture that you will be replacing, I would definitely bring in materials that are sort of like a mid-tone warm color. I think that's going to go a really long way in softening this space and just kind of warming it up. And this coffee table is just really bad. It's the first thing that needs to go. Along with that, I really don't like the rug. First of all, the scale is way off. A rug like this, that's not like some vintage piece that almost feels like a piece of art or like an interesting piece of furniture, but rather is just sort of like anchoring the center of the space. It should always be big enough to go under the furniture that's around it. So at least the front legs of the sofa and chair should definitely be on top of this rug. I also really don't like this very like synthetic, distressed looking pattern that it has. So when you're shopping for a larger rug, I would definitely look for one that's not contrasting so much with the floor, because it ends up breaking up this space visually like in a really harsh way. So finding a light neutral rug that's almost going to blend in with the floor and just be more of a texture change, I think is just a more sophisticated way to address a living room rug. And with that, you can have a lot of fun with the texture of a rug. You can find some pretty interesting rugs that have like large weaves or interesting changes in heights and texture and stuff. So I would think more about texture than color or pattern for this rug, and it absolutely needs to be much, much larger. And then that brings me to the matching TV console unit and the sort of sideboard credenza on the wall of the bookshelf. Having matching furniture that's different sizes in general just really cheapens the look of a space to me. I think that's part of the reason that this space feels so much like an Airbnb. It doesn't look like it was thoughtfully designed. So I don't really love either of those, but I don't want to tell you to get rid of all of your furniture. So I would definitely get rid of one of them, probably the credenza on the wall of the bookshelf, mainly just because of the composition of this wall. I don't necessarily think that there should be a piece of furniture there. I think in place of that bookshelf, you should definitely do built-in shelving that spans that entire niche there. Oh, she also wrote to me that she has a ton of books that are still in boxes that she wants to bring into this space. So to me, that feels like the obvious place for them. I would probably just fill that whole thing with bookshelves and really fill it up and have that be like the dominant thing on that wall. And I would get rid of the black credenza. I would find another home for the plant and plant stand, and I would move the piece of art above the sofa. So that wall will really just have like the tile furnace and the bookshelf on it. If you feel like you need some closed storage, I don't think it would be too expensive to actually build out a cabinet there with a counter. But also you could probably DIY it with like some modular pieces from IKEA. In general, I think that niche could look nice if it had like closed storage below and then bookshelves above. And having a counter there could probably be a nice place for your record player and sound system. But the main thing that I really want to stress is like clearing off that whole wall to the right of the bookshelf. And then you can bring your chair over and have it float at like a 90-degree angle to the sofa with its back to where the speakers are right now. I think this space plan is just going to feel a lot more like rounded out and like it's kind of filling up the room in a more appropriate way. And as far as the built-in niche moment goes, I would probably just keep it all white because there's going to be a lot of color and interest from the books and other things that you put on the open shelving. And you also have this tile furnace right next to it, which is already really special. So I don't think you need to like paint this niche or have it be like a wood tone or anything. I think it will look fine if it just stays white and kind of takes a back seat like a lot of the other built-in elements in the apartment. Also, if you do move the art to hang above the sofa, I think it should hang a bit lower. Right now it's hanging way too far above the credenza, and it feels like it's just kind of floating and like lost in space. When art is above furniture, you don't want too much of a gap between the painting and the top of the furniture, whether it's a sofa, a bed, a desk, whatever. So when you hang it above the sofa, I wouldn't have it so high on the wall. I would have it a bit lower so it feels like it relates to the sofa itself. In general, this piece of art is a very small scale. It's probably not what I would choose to hang in this room, but I do think you can make it work, and it can look pretty interesting if you just center it over the sofa. I think we just need to like play with it a little bit. Okay, here the TV area. I agree that painting this like wall section white to match the rest of the apartment is definitely a good move. I would probably mount the TV here, not much higher than it's sitting off the console now, because you don't want too much space between the furniture and the thing hanging above it. But I think I might just make it like relate to the wall more. And in general, a mounted TV usually just looks cleaner and like more finely designed than a TV on a stand like this. And again, I don't love the black console, but I don't think you need to get rid of it right away. But if in the future you are shopping for a new one, you kind of want to level up the console under the TV, I would look for one that's a warm material, maybe something like wood that's again kind of like a mid-tone color. And I also personally just feel like TV consoles that have these open shelves in them that are obviously meant to hold like video game console or some sort of system, I just don't love the way they look. I feel like if you need to access some sort of system under your TV, it's better to get a console that just has sliding doors that you can kind of close when you don't need them. And similarly, I don't love media consoles that have such long legs. You can see so much like floor under this storage piece, and especially in TV media areas like this, it always just reveals a huge mess of cords that could be hidden by this piece. So I think that's not the place to bring in furniture with like long legs like that. I would look for something that feels more like sturdy and grounded. And in general, I think under a TV, it's just really nice to have like a very solid feeling piece of furniture, because the TV is so black and visually heavy. It's nice to have like something that's also visually heavy to kind of anchor it. And again, I really don't want to come in here and be like, you need all new furniture. So I think the sofa and chair are fine for now. If in the future you feel like upgrading, I do think that shopping for pieces that don't have such synthetic upholstery materials, I like the idea of mixing upholstery materials, like a fabric upholstered sofa and a leather armchair or lounge chair to complement it. But I feel like first and foremost, it's just really important that the upholstery feels nice, especially when you're trying to combat like kind of sterile, cold environments like this. It's really important to bring in highly textured, tactile materials that are going to bring like a sense of comfort and coziness. So I think that's the biggest priority. And I think if you're shopping for a new chair with the new space plan we've laid out, you could definitely look for like a much larger, more substantial, cozier armchair there to kind of fill out that space and really balance out the sofa. And if you're looking for a new sofa in the future, I would look for one without a chaise. This is kind of like a hot take, but I don't usually like sofas that have like a chaise part of the sectional, like it's an L-shaped sofa. I think that it usually just makes a space feel much smaller and confined than it actually is. And especially if they don't have a back to them on that part of the sofa, it makes it pretty uncomfortable to like socialize in a circle with a sofa like that. So as an alternative, I would recommend getting just a upholstered ottoman that's equally cozy and you can use as a footrest, that then if you have company over, you can kind of pull away and use it like its own piece of furniture. And having an ottoman that doesn't necessarily match the sofa is just a really nice opportunity to have a new material, a new design, a different upholstery fabric. So again, I think the chair and sofa are okay for now. I don't think you need to like empty your home right away, but these are just a few notes to think about if you happen to be shopping in the future. Okay, and last but not least for this space, I obviously have to talk about the lighting. Don't think I wasn't going to talk about the lighting, guys. Obviously it was the first thing my eye went to, but I want to talk about the lighting all together. So this pendant chandelier, whatever you want to call it, is a very busy and hard feeling. I again think it's not doing any favors to kind of cozy up the space. Having multiple light sources like that and the fact that they're all on swag hooks just feels really hectic to me. And also, you guys know what I think about glass fixtures where you can see the light bulb. At least these are kind of like a smoked glass, but I still really don't like this fixture. But it's awesome that you have wiring for a pendant in the middle of your space. And this is a great opportunity to bring in a lamp that feels very warm, very cozy. I definitely would go for something that brings in like a very diffused, glowing light quality. I wouldn't do anything that has like directional light. And having something that's pretty substantial and can kind of occupy the open vertical space here above the coffee table, I think would be definitely nice. I think there's a lot of different materials you could bring in this fixture, whether the shade be fabric or paper or glass or some other interesting material, but I would definitely avoid any fixture that's just too white. I think it would be good to get a fixture that has a little bit of warmth and color to it, maybe something a little bit beige or brown that can kind of speak to the color of the tile on the vintage furnace over there. But yeah, I think swapping out this fixture should be your first priority before you do anything else. I think it's going to make the biggest change in your space. So if you're planning on kind of taking a slow design approach, do that first for sure. And as far as floor lamps go, I really like the chrome floor lamp that you have in the corner by the sofa there, but I don't think you need more than one directional floor lamp in the space. So I would get rid of the kind of matte gray one with multiple light sources on it. I just don't think the design of that lamp or the color of the paint is really doing anything to kind of warm up or cozy up the space, which is what I think we want the lamps to do here. So I also really like the idea of styling that chrome lamp with the armchair over by the bookshelves over there and creating kind of like a cozy reading moment. And also I noticed that you have a matching smaller version of that lamp on the black credenza. Again, I don't think that having matching pieces in different sizes brings a very nice feeling to a space. So I would either move that to another room or get rid of it altogether. But I do really like the idea of having a little lamp in the new bookshelves there. Also, if you do end up mounting the TV, you could potentially have a small lamp on the console below it. And also in the corner where that chrome floor lamp currently is, I definitely think that we need some sort of light there. Maybe it's a cool opportunity for a wall-mounted sconce with an arm. I'm picturing those like wood, retractable, kind of like vintage Scandinavian ones. It obviously doesn't have to be a fixture like that specifically, but I do feel like a wall sconce in this corner would be really nice and just make the space feel more evenly lit. But again, the most important thing here is changing that ceiling pendant to something that has a single central light source, and it gives like a diffused, cozy quality of light. That's going to make all the difference. Okay, I think those are all of my notes for the living room. So let's move into the kitchen/dining room. Okay, first of all, just to acknowledge what we're working with here, these are very high gloss kitchen cabinets. I really don't like when cabinetry like this is so reflective. If you happen to be renovating a kitchen or a bathroom right now, please don't put in such like a shiny, reflective, glossy material. Because this kitchen has cabinets like that, I again think that we need to bring in a lot of warm, organic feeling pieces into this space. So first things first, these rugs just need to go. they match the rug in the living room. I feel like this space just had to be furnished by someone who doesn't live here before they moved in, because everything like matches. It doesn't feel like much thought was given to all these pieces. Anyway, I don't think you need a rug under the dining table, especially a round rug like that. I think a rug in front of the kitchen area could be nice, but definitely not this rug. If you do feel like you need a rug in the kitchen to kind of define these two spaces, or maybe you just like having a rug in front of your kitchen, I would get something that feels very warm, maybe a vintage rug that has a little bit of pattern to it, but something that feels very warm and organic and is probably made of wool and woven, because here having contrast with the floor will actually be pretty nice to kind of define the kitchen space as separate from the dining space, if that makes sense. But yeah, these like synthetic, distressed looking rugs are not the move. Also, I think it's interesting that in this photo, the dining table is not centered under the pendant above it. It's kind of pushed up against the wall. And I wonder if that has something to do with the rug. Like maybe when you pull the chairs out, it's just not comfortable having the back legs of the chair like between these two rugs. I don't know what's going on there, but I think getting rid of that rug will probably just make the space more comfortable and allow you to kind of pull out the dining table to be centered under the pendant there. And these dining chairs are giving the same energy of the rugs. They're like this very synthetic, shiny feeling. They're kind of like the upholstery version of the shiny kitchen cabinets. And it all just feels very synthetic in here. So I would bring in either dining chairs that have just a nicer, more authentic, organic feeling upholstery, or maybe some cool like vintage wood dining chairs could be nice. I think you could go a lot of different ways here to kind of warm up the space, but I definitely would not have these kind of cheap looking, synthetic feeling dining chairs. Also, how the dining table and dining chairs are currently positioned is just making me feel like a pedestal table would do a lot better here. I can imagine that there's a lot of like chair legs and table legs and knees like bumping into each other when you sit around this table. So maybe swapping this table out for like a vintage pedestal table will just make the whole experience of like sitting around the table feel more smooth and comfortable. You won't have this kind of like chaotic sea of furniture legs, and it'll allow you to be like more organic with how you position your chairs around your table. Also, this pendant over the dining table is not the worst, but again, when you have a fixture with multiple light sources like that, it just doesn't totally like direct the light in a super intentional way like it could. There's a lot of very cool pendants that direct the light down onto the dining table that I feel like would look really nice with a round table at this scale. So I don't think it's like totally crucial that you immediately swap out this dining pendant like I do think about the one in the living room. But if you do want to swap it out in the future, I think that there's a lot of cool options. And I think the last thing I want to talk about for your space is just window treatments. I notice you don't have any right now, and that's a really nice way to bring a lot of depth and warmth to a space. They also do a really nice job of absorbing sound, like acoustically. They just make a space feel a lot cozier. So even if you think they'll be open 99% of the time, it can be really nice to frame out large windows like this with really large curtains. I don't think they have to be like such a moment. They could be just like a neutral off-white fabric that lets light through even when they're closed. But I do think that you need to be thoughtful when you mount them. You'll want them in this space to be probably as close to the ceiling as possible, and then very lightly touching the floor, like kissing the floor, we always say. And you want to mount them actually outside the window. So when they're open, you'll see the entire window. I see that you have the AC unit to the right of the window there, but there's still enough space to kind of have the curtains hang to the right of the window and not in front of it. I just say this because I see so many people like cover their windows with curtains when the curtains can live like in front of the wall on either side of the window. Yeah, so I think those are most of my notes for your space. I feel like I kind of talked a lot let's see how long this video is. I hope I don't have too much editing work to do because it's 3 days of design here in Copenhagen, where there's all of these exhibits and events for different design companies. So it's a lot of fun. I'm very excited to check it out with some friends. Oh, and I have a huge update. We found a new apartment. We signed the contract yesterday and we move in July 10th. And I'm just so excited about it. We've basically been living between sublets and furnished apartments for almost a year now, which is honestly just torture for somebody like me to not feel like I kind of have ownership over my own space. And a lot of the furniture in this apartment is really terrible. I really don't like it and I have to live with it. So I'm so excited to design this new space from scratch, and I get to take you guys along the entire journey, which is just going to be so fun. So look out for those videos. I mean, it'll be mid-July. I think I'll post like a empty apartment tour. It's a very cool, old, classic Copenhagen apartment. It has some quirks for sure, but it's going to be so good. I can't wait to share it with you guys. And yeah, that's all. Thank you for watching, and I hope this was fun and interesting. I love talking through your homes with you, so I hope you like it too. If you want to send photos of your space my way to maybe be featured in a future video in this series, you can send them to my email, which is noahdanielstudio@gmail.com. And yeah, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.